Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Phelan Davis about Metal Lords, which is streaming now on Netflix. Welcome to the show, man. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, man. It's been awesome. Yeah.
Oh, dude, I've told you before we started, I feel like we did like the pre-interview before we do the real interview, right? And dude, the movie's so amazing. Congratulations. I mean, I just want to know before we get into, because I have so many questions, you know what I mean? But like, and the movie's out, so we can like talk about it, which is amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What did you know about metal before the movie?
So I haven't told Tom Morello this because I met him a couple of times during this. I love Rage Against the Machine. That's been my favorite band for such a long time.
Wow.
And, Prophets of Rage and Audio Slave and all of this stuff.
Yep.
That Tom had done, that has been my thing for such a long time. So when I got this, I was blown away. And I didn't even know that Tom was on the movie.
Whoa.
For the entire thing. Until the last week of shooting.
Yeah.
And it was the Battle of the Bands, and Adrian Greensmith was up there playing Machinery of Torment, and we're all in the stands like, just hell yeah, we're just cheering him on.
Yeah.
Because man, it was a hell of a concert. And so I asked him afterward, like, hey man, who wrote that song? Where can I find more of that? And he was like, Tom Morello.
Yeah.
I'm like, excuse me?
Yeah.
What? Who? I showed him my phone, and I've been listening to, like, between all the scenes and all the takes, because there's a lot of waiting, and I wanted to keep that sort of energy going.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I'd been listening to Evil Empire for the whole 4-month period, and just to find that out now, I was just like,
did you have a chance to tell him that you've been listening?
No, and I never will. No. No, you better not.
That's so crazy. Your character in this, not a good guy. Okay, not a good guy. So,
he's a sweetheart, man.
But like, you know what, man? Honestly, like the movie has the focal point, like the band, the Battle of the Bands. But like the scenes that you got to film for this, man, like a lot of memorable scenes for the audience member. Like, what was it like filming a lot of those scenes where you were like front, right, and center? It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. It was super, super fun. It was interesting because my part was supposed to be, when I first got the role, it was supposed to be a lot smaller.
Okay.
Because I was a local boy. We shot this in Oregon, and I lived in Oregon at the time.
Okay, yeah.
I'd never been to LA, never done any of that stuff. And so I get on set. I think I'm only doing this for like a week.
Yeah.
And just, I don't know. It worked out to where I was there for the whole 4 months. The whole production, and it just like through new ideas and changes with the script.
Yeah.
That the car chase, everything. It was.
Man,
I love doing action stuff and just like.
People were talking about, like, we were doing the junket, and we were in the hospitality room, all the journalists waiting to go in to speak to the cast, and they were bringing up like the car chase, like in the junket, like hospitality, and like, you just like what was that whole thing like? That was just.
Well, let me tell you about that. So, first of all, that place that we shot in, it's in Oregon City. Benefits of being a local actor is that my friend works in the place that I ran my car into.
That's so funny.
He works in that building, and he was in the back. I didn't tell him I was shooting any of this. I didn't tell any of my friends that I was doing this. And then he hears he's doing something in the back of the store. He's like, hey, they're shooting something outside. What are you talking about? Netflix shoot.
And you're like,
and I'm just in this big truck. Because for that whole scene, I had a stunt driver doing all the actual driving.
Yeah.
It was a very talented Tim James. He was dressed up in the same getup and everything. But then when it came to actually crash the car, they set it up in front of the wall, maybe about 5 feet. Tim got out. And they said, okay, get in.
So that was you.
Excuse me? You want me to?
Yeah.
The stunt guy did every single thing except crash the car into a wall. Yes. And they're like, yeah, we got to see your face, because it was like full on, seeing me. And I'm like, so we only get one take, and they're like, no. We rigged the airbag so it could go off again and again and again. I'm like, oh, that's comforting. That's awesome. Yeah, thanks, guys.
What was the banter like in the car? Like, both of you like talking before that, like knowing that you had to do that. Like, I'm sure that was kind of funny too, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was like I was scared out of my mind, at that point, because I didn't know I was going to be doing any of this, and they gave me like earplugs, so because the airbag's really loud, I couldn't hear anything. I was trying to talk to the other guy who was in the car with me, my co-star there. And like he couldn't hear me, I couldn't hear him. I was trying to talk to Peter Sollett, the director, and he was telling me, and I was like, he was shouting at me from outside the car. Man, very interesting experience. Thankfully, it wasn't the full airbag, and I didn't break my ribs.
Oh, absolutely. But it was just, that whole scene is amazing. Now, Phelan, the whole movie, like the focal point is like the Battle of the Bands, right? If there's no Battle of Bands, there's no movie, right? Like we saw that in the trailer and everything. And man, oh man, like the movie's out so we could talk about it. I mean, you talked about the beginning of the interview. I mean, so amazing, so much kind of happening. I feel like the coolest thing is, your character starts the pit. The mosh pit without thinking, without even thinking what's going on. Like that was like, I love that whole scene. Like, yeah, metal, and then just all hell breaks loose. Like, yeah, and like your face, like you're so mad because he's outside. Like he comes back and like when he pushes. Oh, it's so good, man.
Thanks, man. I mean, yeah, no, because my character, Skip.
Yeah,
he goes through this sort of arc in the background, but you can still sort of see it where he's definitely just an asshole, but he's not really a problem.
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna kill you. Yeah. I'm gonna come on that stage and I'm gonna murder you.
Yeah.
So just that blind rage and pushing past people, you don't get to do that in everyday life.
No. And then the mosh pit just breaks out of your character. Is just like, and he doesn't even know what's going on. That's the best part.
He doesn't know what's going on. Just get the hell off of me,
Yeah, that's the best part. How long?
Um,
How many times did you guys film the mosh pit scene? One time?
So.
Oh, okay.
32 times.
Like actually 32
I got
times?
thrown into that speaker 32 times.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was mainly my fault. Not how many times we filmed it, but so I had a stunt double for getting thrown into the speaker.
Yep.
And
spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie.
Yeah. But it was again Tim James. He was actually the stunt coordinator for that second half of the shoot, and he was dressed up as me. And I said, now Adrian and Jaeden did all their own stunts when I beat them up.
Yep.
Because every time I would come up and punch them and stuff, they had their stunt doubles and they're just waiting out there.
Yeah. And
they'd fall to the ground and they'd sell it so hard, everybody would run over and be like, Jaeden, are you okay? Are you okay? And he'd get up like, yeah, fine. Yeah. I'm acting, dude, whatever. So I was like, man, I got to do that. So when people were like running into me and, throwing me around in the mosh pit, they were sort of like playing at it.
Yeah.
And then I would sort of jump in at the end for these wide shots that we were doing in the beginning, because I wasn't even on camera when we started shooting that. But I said, just hit me. All the people around me were trained stunt people, thankfully, because I just gathered them around in a circle and I said, just go for it. Just hit me. I don't care. Just do it. Yeah. And that's exactly what they did. So it was just a week of that. Wow. Listening to Machinery and Torment was the most sweaty experience of my life.
That's just like the whole Battle of Band scene, though. It's so amazing and incredible how they shot that in regards to like they start playing Machinery of Torment, and then you kind of see the blossoming reactions of the crowd, Phelan, right? Where they're just like, what is this, right? But then exactly. Then they're getting into it, right? Exactly. And then they start singing it. Like, that's a really amazing thing to see. Like, I love that whole sequence.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah. And just I had never heard the song before either, or any of the music for the movie until then. And so to see it in that huge, theater and all these people there, obviously I'm doing my own thing, but even in the takes where I'm not in there, we were all just cheering them on and just seeing this original song by one of my favorite artists.
And there's two main riffs, right? Like there's the original, like there's the main, like the opening riff that they do, right? But then there's like the riff that really kicks in, like the mosh pit riff, right? Which is like, like it was perfect. But I can't get over, like, I probably rewound that scene like 20 times at the mosh pit scene because I just love the whole thing. Like everyone's getting into it, you come in, woo, metal, and then just like so good.
Me too, honestly.
Yeah, man. I went back and rewatched that. Like I told you, like School Rock's my favorite movie of all time. Even talking to Adrian, he just thought when I talked to him at the junket, he was even like, the Battle of the Band scene was so amazing. It gave him, the School of Rock vibes. Like he loved that. You know what I mean? So it's really, really cool that happened. I think the coolest thing too, Phelan, that I love about it is not really having to do with your character, but I'm wondering if you could just talk about the cinematography, just how it was filmed. Like Skullflower's band room, right, where they're rehearsing. They have that wall, right, of all like the tour posters and the artwork. And I'm a big metal fan, right? So I like pause it and you could see there's so many amazing bands on that wall. Like so many, man. Like it was so cool to see that. Like from that perspective, like the metal bands that they've chose and put in is so cool, man.
Yeah. I agree. And I think that's a testament to one, the knowledge and love for the whole genre that DB Weiss had, like writing the whole thing.
Oh, dude, so good.
Because he wrote that in the 80s. He wrote that when he was in that time of his life. And so just that passion, I think, really came through with that. And also, Peter Sollett, he really understands that stuff too. Yeah. And to have them both on set, having ideas and being like, oh, we should actually reference this or bring this in or connect this to this. That, I think it's a perfect combo. Yeah. And they're just riffing off each other the whole time.
This is did the School of Rock comparisons like ever come to mind at all though? I'm just curious about that. Like for that sequence, like the Battle of the Band sequence.
The Battle of the Band sequence, I mean, it did for me.
Yeah.
I don't know what the sort of discussion was behind the scenes.
Like the movies are different, but just like you get those vibes, right? Because it's exactly. Yeah.
Especially watching it back.
Yeah.
Because we shot that scene so many different ways and from so many different angles. Yeah. And the vibe was always the same, but like, of course, you never know how it's going to look.
No, absolutely.
And I was seeing it from a very different perspective than I guess we see it in the movie. But yeah, no, it came together in like I'm just thinking back on it now. I rewatched it this morning when it came out. I love the way it came out.
Dude, they knocked it out of the park. The whole Battle of the Band sequence is like the coolest thing ever. Oh, yeah. All the shots of the reactions of the crowd and then back to the band, like it's just because I feel like that was just kind of a whole thing on it. So like it's one thing to make the whole movie, right? But just like that's like a music video. That's basically the centerpiece of the whole film, basically.
Yeah.
Like there's pressure, right? Because that's the whole point of the film, basically.
That's the whole thing. And to have that one single song that the whole film is sort of riding on and have it deliver on that and be as good as they are trying to make it out to be. Yeah. That's not something you really come across. You know?
And your character starting a mosh pit, not even knowing what's going on. So good.
Yeah, he was just trying to start a fight and kill somebody.
I wanted to ask you something too. You know that sequence when he go like you're like one of the other bullies that you're with who was like woo metal and he pushes you, and you were like you look at him, you're like all upset. Like I'm just wondering. Did they have a hard time doing those takes? Because it's kind of like the way you look at him, like, I'm sorry, I kind of laugh. Like, I feel like I would have been like, what is happening right now? Do you know what I mean by that a little bit?
Yeah, no, that was a crazy bit of it. So Jalen Howard, that was the other guy. Love him, and I got to hang out with him.
Dude, he was so good in that. The little banters here and there with you and him and the other bullies was awesome. Yeah,
and that was just because we spent so much time together behind the scenes. We're all sort of lumped together. was a COVID safety thing, so it's not like we're all in one big space.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like, okay, a few people here, a few people here.
Yep.
So we actually did get to be friends. And so we didn't rehearse any of that sequence. We didn't do, anything. We just said, all right, he's here, you're going to go up, and he's going to run into you.
Yep.
And he's going to go like that.
Yeah.
And we just, it was again, like I told him and he told me, like, we're not going to pull our punches. We're just going to hit each other as hard as we can. Because that's the only way.
So that was actually you two, right? Like the push?
Oh, yeah. No, we didn't have any. Our stunt doubles were just chilling out, man. This whole time, me and Jalen. And yeah. I felt so bad for him, though, because he had just gotten a tattoo, big tattoo right on his shoulder. Yeah. Like maybe a day or two before. He still had the plastic on it and everything. Yeah. And here I am just ramming into him,
Absolutely. Before we wrap up, too, just kind of about the character arcs of some of the characters. I mean, it's kind of like your character, Skip, like you're a bully, you're a jerk, you're not a nice guy. It's kind of crystal clear, right? But you look at Noah's character, right? And that's an interesting arc, right? Because like when you first meet him at like the party when they're playing, you're not sure, right? Is he going to be a bully? Is he going to be mean? But then they kind of like play around with that where he's not like at all like a bully, you know what I mean? What did you think about that? Those kind of arcs in the movie, they kind of mess with the audience a little bit. It's interesting.
I think so too. They did that for Noah's character, for Analesa's character. Noah's character was interesting because he's more of a bully in Adrian's character's eyes more than anything because they have that success and they have that stuff that Hunter wants. And so just to actually get to kind of know him, you realize that that's not true. He's not, a jerk, even though he maybe hangs out with me. And that's not exactly a redeemable
you push
quality.
him too. You're just out of control. And Skip is just out of control in the mosh pit. Just out of control.
He's a real bad memory of a guy. Yeah. Like, I think of him as like the archetypal, like Biff from Back to the Future.
Absolutely. Just like but you did a great job though with like the mannerisms and the facial expressions, man. Seriously, you did a good job. Like after I've done this interview, I'm gonna go back and watch the Battle of Bands just to see the menacing look. Like you want to go get Adrian's character like badly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's so crazy. Man. It's so crazy. I'm so happy for you in the cast. And Phelan, I wanted to thank you so much for coming on Pop Turner. This was so great chatting with you.
Thanks for having me, man. Anytime, dude.
So it's available now worldwide on Netflix, Metal Lords. Can you believe it? Can you believe the words out of my mouth just now? Like worldwide, it's available.
It's been so long coming.
Yeah.
I cannot believe it, man. It's so weird seeing it. It's like,
but it's out.
I remember doing this. It's actually up there. It's on Netflix right now.
And that's a weird thing, right? Because you go shoot it and then you kind of get maybe you talk to your reps or you talk to like the cast. It's like, okay, it might be coming out in April. We're not sure yet, right? And then it actually comes out. I know, it's wild, right?
We had bets going on as to when it was actually going to come out.
Interesting. Did anyone win? Did you win? Did you win? Did you win?
No. I thought it was going to come out like in 2021. No.
Oh, no, absolutely. And where can people follow you on social media to keep updated with everything? Instagram, you're pretty active there, right?
I'm just active on Instagram. Phelan.Davis, Phelan.
Yep.
Everybody, go watch Metal Lords on Netflix. If you don't, I'm going to get you.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to show up at your house.
That's Skip talking. That's Skip talking. Don't worry. It's just Skip. It's not Phelan. It's Skip. It's Skip. Well, this has been Pop Turner. YouTube.com/Pop Turner for previous episodes. You can catch Phelan Davis in Metal Lords streaming now worldwide on Netflix. Until next time, this is Phelan and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.